Week 8 is pretty much in the books with only Monday Night Football to come. And there was one headliner game from Sunday. That would be Rodgers versus Manning. Undefeated Packers taking on the undefeated Broncos. And this game wasn't even close. The Broncos manhandled Green Bay from the opening kickoff. And it was a surprise to me, and I'm pretty sure a surprise to all, how easily the Broncos handled Green Bay in their 29-10 victory. In conclusion, we know their defense is scary good. We know Peyton has had his struggles this season, though. Can he carry the Broncos team to the promised land, back to the Super Bowl? Are the Broncos better than the New England Patriots? I'll give you my take next. Welcome back to the Best Damn Sports Blog. Back again, it's time to talk NFL with you guys, specifically the Packers and Broncos game that took place on Sunday Night Football. It was an interesting matchup going into the game, but during the game, it was just a one-sided affair. The Broncos handled Green Bay. They only scored 10 points in the game, had just 140 total yards in the game. 140 total yards. Aaron Rodgers had 77 passing yards. His lowest passing total in his career without being subbed out due to injury. 77 yards. Not even 100. How often do we see any starting quarterback get less than 100 passing yards in a game? And on top of that, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers. Probably physically the best quarterback ever, just based off attributes and skill. Not accomplishment. Because since he's won the Super Bowl, Aaron Rodgers is 2-4 in the playoffs. Plus, following this loss to the Broncos, Aaron Rodgers is now 0-9 against winning teams on the road in his last 9 games. So Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, they have a lot to prove, especially Rodgers if he wants to be considered with Montana, with Brady, with Peyton. He's got to have a lot more playoff success because he hasn't done much since the Super Bowl win in 2010. But this podcast is not about Aaron Rodgers. It's about the Denver Broncos. And that was an impressive display by Denver. They proved their defense is legit, holding Aaron Rodgers to just 10 points and being able to blow them out 29-10. 77 passing yards for Rodgers. Their biggest play, Green Bay, in the game was a 17-yard rush by Aaron Rodgers. Their biggest play. This defense is top-notch. The best in the league by far, in my estimation. Now, like I stated, Peyton has had his struggles, but against Green Bay, I got to tip my hat to him. In the biggest game of the Broncos season to date, Peyton showed up and he played well. Despite one interception and no touchdowns, he still had his best game of this season. He finished 21 of 29 passing for 340 passing yards. And what was even more key is the fact he wasn't throwing ducks. The deep ball, he was able to make those throws in that game. And that's pivotal for Denver and Peyton's success because that's what he's been lacking all season. Is the arm, the strength in his arm is just gone. So from time to time, it'll be there. Some days it won't. But in the biggest game of the season versus Green Bay, he had his arm and he made the necessary throws to lead them to victory. And you can do nothing but salute that. And I've been Peyton's biggest critic this season because Denver's defense has been carrying the load. I'm sorry, that's just the facts. And at times, they've been carrying the load in spite of Peyton Manning. He's had some really poor games, especially by his standard this season. And this defense is nothing to sneeze at for those who think it's just okay. No, this is a great defense. The best in the league by far. Against total yards per game allowed, they rank first, giving up 261. Seattle, who is second, gives up 20 more yards per game. When it comes to pass yards per game, they rank first, only allowing 171.9. Seattle was second, gives up 15 yards more per game. In points per game, Denver ranks first, only allowing 16 points per game. They have 4 defensive touchdowns, 17 defensive takeaways, which ranks second in the NFL. And on third down conversions, they rank second, only allowing teams to convert on 31% of their third down opportunities. Oh, and I forgot, against the rush, they rank fourth, only allowing 89.1 yards per game. So that's top 5 in pretty much every important defensive statistical category. That defense is stout, and it is the best in the league by far. They have a great secondary, and in today's NFL, that is paramount because this league is a passing league like never before. So now you've heard the statistics. And to those who wonder why I said this defense has been carrying the team in spite of Peyton Manning, just listen to these stats and where Peyton Manning ranks amongst the 33 qualified quarterbacks. In yards per game, he averages 266. That ranks 12th. In touchdown passes, he has just 7 on the season. That ranks 27th. Interceptions, he has 11. That's tied for the most in the NFL with Matthew Stafford. So Peyton Manning has 7 touchdowns and 11 interceptions through 8 weeks in 7 games. Just 7 touchdowns in 7 games for Peyton Manning? If by that stat you can't tell he's declining, then you're just oblivious. Moving on, in completion percentage, he ranks 21st, completing just 62% of his passes. That is kind of harsh, but he ranks 21st out of 33. Yards per attempt, which is a telling stat for quarterbacks, Peyton Manning averages just 7.1 yards per attempt, and that ranks 23rd amongst 33 qualifying quarterbacks. His quarterback rating, 75.1, ranks 32nd out of 33 quarterbacks. If that's not alarming, please tell me what is. And the final stat of Peyton Manning that I'm going to throw your way is total QBR, which is out of 100. He has a 52.1 total QBR, and that ranks 21st amongst 33 qualified quarterbacks. Now, out of all these statistics, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different statistical categories. He's in the bottom half on 6 different of them. 6 different statistical categories out of 7. Peyton Manning ranks in the bottom half amongst quarterbacks that qualify. That's alarming. He's declining. He's not the great Peyton Manning anymore. People who support and people who are just unbiased have to realize this. The proof is in the pudding. Peyton Manning played well against the Packers. Like I said, I tip my hat to him. The biggest game, he showed up and he handled his business. But the question is, we know the New England Patriots are 7-0 as well, and they have a date with the Broncos on November 29th. And the question is, can Peyton Manning lead the Broncos past Tom Brady and the New England Patriots when it counts most in the postseason, which will most likely be the AFC Championship game? And that's why I think this November 29th date between the two teams in Denver will be a very important game for both sides, because I think it will decide who will have home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. Now, the Bengals are still undefeated themselves, so they could be in the mix and they could end up becoming the number 1 seed, knocking New England and Denver to 2 or 3, and that will decide who will have to play on the first weekend of the playoffs. So Denver and New England is a big game on November 29th, because whoever has home field advantage in the playoffs between Denver and New England, I favor that team at home. They're both that good. Despite Peyton's flaws and his mishaps so far this season, I cannot look past that defense. They are a scarily good defense. And Tom Brady has been magnificent, 20 touchdowns, 1 interception, but they have not faced the defense of this caliber. And once they have that matchup on November 29th, we'll have a better picture of who is the better team of these two.